Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. I am here to show you how to shape your nails. I have some tips and tricks that I found to work out great, and I also have some things to share with you that also don't work out so great, hence this little guy over here, which I will get to in a minute. When I first started with GelMoment, the silicone mat was actually my inspiration. It comes with 7 nail shapes on the left-hand side. And I was just like, wow, these look so pretty and nice. But when I started using the polish, this is what my nails looked like. And I was a clipper. I never ever filed my nails. As soon as they would grow past the skin on the end of my finger, I would clip them. So this is the first thing we need to stop doing. GelMoment has amazing nail clippers. They are wonderful for your toes, which is how I use mine. But if you're wanting to have longer shaped nails, I highly recommend not clipping them. We're gonna get to the nail files in a minute. So stop clipping your nails. You'll find that when you keep a constant application of GelMoment polish on, your nail is protected and it will grow. So they are going to be protected under that gel. If you feel like you need extra protection, you could do a base of Fortify. I personally always just do 3 coats of polish, and my nails are sturdy. They don't bend, they generally don't break, and they are protected and they grow. So when it's time to remove my polish, so you can see the length difference here, this is about a 2-week length difference from this to this. So they just get very long, and to file them narrower or shorter, whatever shape you're wanting to go with, don't clip it, we're going to file it instead. So that is my first tip. And the second tip that I have is to be very aware of the file you are using. So GelMoment's nail files are catered to a natural nail, and you can tell that by the grit that's listed here. So the higher the number, the lighter the grit. So 220 is referring to the buffer side. It almost has a sponge-like consistency. It's quite soft, and you can hear it's not overly gritty. So this is great for buffing off any extra oils and to prep your nail before polish. The 180 is referring to the actual file, so it's grittier, as you can hear. And this is the side that we are going to be using for shaping, which we'll get to in a little bit here. But the 180 is the grittiest you would want to go for filing and shaping a natural nail. So how I got into this situation is I get some extra gritty files just off Amazon. It does not have to be this brand, you can get any brand, but I like to get a 100 grit. It is super, super grippy. The 180, so the buffer side on this is actually the file side on that. So the 180 here is actually the buffer on this side. So that's how much grittier this nail file is. So this is the buffer side, and the 100 is on this side. Like, it is very, very gritty. So this is catered more to a full-on gel nail or an acrylic nail or a dip powder nail, something that is very aggressive. So my thinking behind this, and this part did work, I always have 3 coats of polish on. So I wanted to thin this out before I would do my flake off for my removal. So it does work great. The 100 grit does work great if you're wanting to thin out polish before your removal. It just allows the remover to work quicker. But do not use that 100 grit in any way, shape, or form on the rest of your nail. So just a few passes will thin the polish. If you get going too heavy-handed with this, it will go right through to your nail. So if you're wanting to thin out your polish faster, if you are one to use lots of glitters or top coats, it really does do a good job of thinning out your polish. If you're a 2-layer girl, this is all you need. That works just fine. But for me, and I'm always at least wearing 3 coats, I do like to get through that polish quicker to allow the flake off to work faster. So what happened here is I was thinking, okay, this eats through my polish. It will also get through my nail faster. So I started shaping my nail with the 100 grit. And you can see my nails, I'm basically doing a ballerina shape nail, and it's fairly straight up the side and then it tapers in. So when I was shaping my nails, I was using that 100 grit right close into the skin. That's where I file, and I go up, straight up to start that edge, and then I angle it in this way. But what happens, this is so gritty that it is going to eat into the corner of your nail without you even realizing, and you will have a divot in your nail, weakening that spot in your nail. So that is what happened to these 3 nails. And these are obviously fingers that I use more than my pinky and my thumb. So they ended up all breaking off, which is not the norm for me. So I learned my lesson. I will never shape my nail with a 100 grit ever again, because I lost all of my tips on my natural nails. So definitely stick with the nail files that GelMoment has. So now let's get into the shaping. So again, we are not shaping with this guy, we are shaping with the GelMoment file. And I kept 2 nails long so I can actually show you how I file them. And we are going to start with the one that needs the most length. So this is called a stiletto nail. It is the narrowest and it is the pointiest. So you definitely need the most length to get this shape. So I'm going to do that one on my pinky. And what I do, I come up straight so I get in as tight to my skin as possible. And I'm just going to go straight up here. So sometimes when your nails grow, they are going to get quite wide there. And this shape is very narrow coming off the skin. So I'm just going to go up straight this on each side. So once you have as narrow as you need, so it just depends on your finger shape and how your nail actually grows, then you are going to angle it in at about a 45-degree angle. So if you have brittle nails, thin nails, weak nails, I do not recommend doing the sawing action. My nails are fairly tough and dry, so I don't find that when I do this sawing motion, I don't get any lifting or peeling. But if you do, you will want to saw in one direction, file in one direction, so you're not going to get any friction against that nail causing any peeling. But just be aware of, you know, the health of your nail, the state of your nail. So you might just have to go in one direction. I can easily just go back and forth and I don't have any issues. So I'm just going to file it in until I have a fine point on each side, so you can see how much nail that already took off. So I'm just going to do the other side. Okay, so once you have the sides as narrow as you want, you basically need it to come to a point. So mine, I had a ballerina before, so you can see how mine's a little bit square. So now you can focus just on the tip and try to get it as pointy as possible, just at the very end, so you're not thinning out the side too much. So there is probably as pointy as I can get it, because it's not super long compared to this shape here, but that's as pointy as I'm able to get it. If you had more length, you could definitely take it in a little bit narrower and get more of a strong point. But that is the stiletto nail. Now, to go from a stiletto nail to a ballerina, all you're doing is flattening out that tip. So this is the shape that I find works the best for my fingers. So once you have that shape, you can just take your file and flatten off that point. So you're just going to make it flat on the top. I find this shape is a lot easier to wear. You're not scratching yourself, you're not scratching your kids. It's also less prone to break just because there's less of a point there. So it's as easy as that to get the ballerina. You also don't need as much length coming off the finger to get this shape. So something else that I want you guys to keep in mind is the back side of your nails. Everyone's nails are going to be different. I have a slight C curve. I don't have anything crazy, but if you have a really deep C curve, you'll want to take your nail file underneath the corners and just kind of get it up and away from the skin. You don't want to thin it out too much, but you don't want your nail to look almost overgrown and overly round. So just taking that file underneath, getting rid of any extra nail under there. Okay, so that is the ballerina. Now, to go from the ballerina to the almond, we are going to get rid of the flat top and just round it out. So I'm going to do this again on, this one might be getting a little bit short, but I'll try. So we're just going to take off basically the corners of the nail. So we're just going to gently take the corners off. All of these shapes, as you can see from the pictures, are narrowing in on the side. So for all three of these, you'll want to just come in at a 45 and take the excess off the edges. And then all you're really changing is the shape of the very tip of it. And it really does not take much. Again, this grit is meant for a natural nail. So just gently filing. Don't get too aggressive with it, because before you know it, your nail will be too short to get the shape that you want. So there you go. That is basically an almond shaped nail. So it's just rounder. Okay, the next one, these next three, you could get away with the least amount of length on your nail. So the oval, as you can see as it comes off the skin, it's not as angled in. So you're going to leave that nail a little bit wider. That's why I chose to do these ones on my thumb. My thumbs are my widest nail, and this one hasn't been shaped in about 2.5 weeks. So we'll start with the oval. It's very much like the almond. It's just not narrowed in on the sides. So I'm basically going to leave my nail that width. I'm just going to round off the tips because I did have the ballerina shape, so it is a little bit square. So I'm basically just going to round that out, taking the corners off. And again, the shape that you choose, just play with it depending on how much length you have and the shape of your fingers and the illusion that you want to create. I personally don't have overly long fingers, but look at the difference that just that little bit of length and that shapes gives versus this poor little hand over here. Nothing against short nails. I think short nails are chic and beautiful, but with my short, kind of squattier, square hands, this gives the illusion of something longer and leaner. And to me, I find this a little more attractive versus this. Okay, so back to my oval shape. So that's as oval as I'm going to get. If you wanted it to appear a little bit more round, you would just want the nail not quite so narrow on the sides. But that is the oval nail. Now to make this the rounded nail, all we're going to do is basically shorten it. So it's just the oval shortened down. And like I was saying before, these three don't narrow in from the sides. So it's going to be a fairly wide nail that's short and extremely round on the end. So it's basically this, just shorter. So I can show you that quickly. So this shape to me does not flatter my fingers. It just makes, I don't know, I like the clean lines with the square. I find the round just don't complement my finger shape at all, but that's more of a rounded nail. So the next two are fairly similar. The squoval is a mix between kind of the oval and a square nail. So you're basically keeping the width, but you're flattening the top. So we're just going to make it a little bit more flat across the top to get a squoval nail. So it's still, you know, fairly round, but it's square at the same time. So the edges, I mean, it's flat on the top, but the edges are gentle. The edges are rounded. So that would be a squoval nail. And then to go from a squoval to a square, which is our last one, you can just see how the edges change. So it's quite square and sharp. So all you're going to do again is just flatten out that top even more to get those really, really pointed square edges. So some of these might seem a little extreme or outdated, but again, it's all just personal preference. And I find it depends too on what polish you're wanting to rock. Some polishes just go with different shapes better, I think. So that would be a full-on square nail. So if you wanted it to appear even square, like I was saying before, you just wouldn't narrow it in as much as I have. You would keep it straighter up from the skin going straight up. So there you have it. I hope this encourages you to play with the nail shape. So just stop clipping and start gently filing with the GelMoment file. Keeping polish on your nail will allow them to grow. And then you can have fun creating any kind of illusion you like. Thanks for watching.